sometimes it is necessary that we need to export our photos from the library. I think the most common reason would be that people want to do photo projects with software other than what Apple Photos has to offer. There's different ways you can export an item from a photos library. And I'd like to differentiate between photos and movies because they are totally different file formats. They operate differently. So let's start with the photos. If I want to export these photos, I simply select what I want. I go File, Export, and then I choose Export for Photos. Now I get a whole lot of options what I want to do with that export. So you can play with that, but I usually go JPEG. You can also choose TIFF or PNG, which is screenshot format, but I stay with JPEG because that's how they came in. And I usually go with either high or maximum, most compatible here for the color, or you can go original. And size, I do full size. So again, that's the original, but you can pick and choose whatever you want here. What I find more important, I always tick on these boxes here because that's the metadata that I have added in the library. Now, if you want to export these photos because you want to do a photo book, you don't really need these, but you know, it doesn't hurt to tick the box, and that way everything is embedded in the file and it comes with it. Now, I usually use file name, but you can also use the title and you can make it sequential, or use an album name with a number. Again, you can have a play with that and find out the differences. I always go with subfolder format none, but you could do moment name, which is oftentimes simply the date. So it would create a folder that's called 7th of March 2020. So I'll keep none and then I export, and then you can choose where you want to export that to. So in that example, I'm going to go desktop, create a new folder, create, and export, and it will send these files to there. Now when I go to have a look in my Finder in desktop, I can see that folder here and I can see my files. Now you might notice that they all show up with the date modified as of today. Now if I go right click in the top here and go date created, it will also tell me that it's today, but these photos were taken last year in September. So where is that date? This is one thing I don't like on my Mac. You can actually not see the capture date. The photo still has the capture date, but you cannot see it in the Finder, and a lot of people get confused because it says date created. They think that's the capture date, and that's not the case. Date created means the date when this file was created on this computer. So because I exported it, that is the time it has been created on this machine, and that's what it shows me here. What is different about videos? When we go to our videos here, if I export that video as a export one video, it will lose its capture date. The capture date will be overwritten with the export date and time, and I don't want that. So if I want to export a video, I always export unmodified original. There we go. And again, you've got different options here, pretty much same as before. That's the same also. What is different is this. It says export IPTC as XMP. Now, what does that mean? If I tick that on, metadata that I have added to that video will be exported as a separate file. This is called a sidecar file, that XMP. So I will end up with two files, with the video file and with the sidecar file. And when I open that video in an app, it will also read the XMP file. Now, you have to experiment with that and test whether the metadata, if you have added any, is actually coming with it. I have tested it a few times and it seemed that it doesn't come with it, but you have to test it yourself. So export that. And again, I will create a new folder, export video, create, export. And you always get that little message. And because I had ticked that on with the XMP, it has exported 2 files, even though I have only selected 1. And if I go to the Finder again, top video, I can see these 2 files. And again, it will not give me the correct dates here, but the video has maintained its capture date